for high GC news. Mema Ubibia Aquaba. I had the latest hot Aqua Aremeyaw Bravo. I don't see subscribe to channel idea. But Modia say over subscribe. The way I say over click a year the subscribe button. Now we barely notification. We answer video for Frubia be upload no. When the first person what's ebe can a year sa video. After we are now like video to give us a thumbs up. Now fe share my wofufro so that when you be here now who ends somewhere ekoso ewo gara be mano. Afi yebura ye ensemwa abeto yepno so yinkuti ASR report sankomo ya ba beto jwa moma interior koso
that reference that Alfred Kumi, the one-time NPP parliamentary, or he aspired to represent the NPP in the Adenta constituency, also referenced in the petition to the president to dissolve this 5-member committee hearing the petitions against the Chief Justice. And this is it. It says a declaration that under Article 23, 1466 and 7 and 296A and B of the Constitution, the second defendant, in this particular case, Justice Gabriel Scott Palmer, is not qualified to be a chairman or member of the committee set up by the president to inquire into the petition against the Chief Justice as suspended on account of having adjudicated and giving various rulings in favor of one of the petitioners, Daniel Ofori, in actions filed in the Supreme Court. That is the 10th relief that the suspended Chief Justice is asking of the Supreme Court to consider in this interlocutory injunction. If you look at the details of the petition by Alfred Kumi to the president to dissolve this 5-member committee, he cites this as well, and we're going to put that on the screen. You see, Alfred Kumi talks about a certain meeting, and I would have you explain what is in this video, because you are one of the persons who put it out first. Yeah. First on your social media. But this is what Alfred Kumi, in that petition to the president to dissolve this 5-member committee looking into the petitions for the removal of the Chief Justice, says. He has Justice Gabriel Palmer there, Justice S.K. Adboesidu, and Justice Yoni Kulendi and Tadiosore. They are not members of this 5-member committee. Justice Yoni Kulendi was a member of the panel that delivered the ruling, I think, on this particular case of the injunction application in the Vincent Assefua's 3-2 majority decision. He was part of the justices that delivered the ruling on this case in the majority. The learned Tadiosore is a lawyer for one of the petitioners in this case. And Alfred Kumi cites all these persons with the 2 others. That's the chair of this 5-member committee and the member of this committee as well. And he says that in the evening of 15th May 2025, between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m., Justice Gabriel Palmer and Samuel Kwame Adebo-Esiedu, together with Justice Yoni Kulendi of the Supreme Court, and we'll flip it, of Ghana, were seen having dinner with the counsel for one of the petitioners before the committee. Mr. Tadiosore at the Santoku restaurant located at Villaggio Airport residential area, Accra. That's what he described it in the petition, the strange meeting of the 4 persons who are keenly interested in and have played and indeed continue to play critical roles initiated in the processes for the removal of the Chief Justice, excited the curiosity of some persons in the restaurant. Indeed, they were overheard discussing matters related to the petition. That's according to this petitioner, that based on what he knows, these persons were overheard discussing matters related to the petition with the removal of the Chief Justice as suspended. Now, respectfully, the record of the presence of the four Justices Kweku Annan, Asiedu, and lawyer Ato Forson at the restaurant and the meeting they had can easily be verified and confirmed. He continues that the above development is of grave worry as proceedings for the removal of the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana is a very solemn and serious process and should not lend itself to manipulation by any person or authority. The meeting between Justice Kweku Annan and Asiedu with Ato Forson clearly has destroyed the integrity of the process and reduces public confidence in the process so far. Both Justices Asiedu and Kweku Annan are members of the panel set up to inquire into the petition. They have no business meeting counsel for one of the petitioners outside working hours at an unofficial place, a restaurant, and to have a discussion. So he makes the claim that Justice Kweku Annan gave judgment in the Supreme Court in favor of one of the petitioners, Daniel Ofori, who is being represented by Ato Forson. And in fact, the Chief Justice, as I referenced earlier, also makes this particular reference in the 10th relief that she's seeking.
So Alfred, can you project Article 1273? Article 1273.
Article 1273
of the Constitution.
Okay. And he continues that Justice Kweku Annan is known to be interested in becoming the Chief Justice following the election of John Dramani Mahama. And then he goes on and on that Justice Yoni Kolendi, beg your pardon, is widely known to have been a close rival to Justice Gertrude Torkonoo for the position of Chief Justice when same became vacant after Justice Kwesi Eninyeboa, that he is known to be interested in being appointed CJ, goes on and on. And even prior to this moment, Article 127, eh?
Yes.
1273.
Yeah. Article 1273.
Yes. We'll have that on the screen in a bit.
Article 1273.
That will be projected. But even before that, yesterday, operatives of the National Intelligence Bureau stormed this gentleman's house, and we have videos of that, and there's been some concern raised about how that was carried out, and also eventually he being charged with publication of false news. And I think Franklin Kojo as well is going to be joining. One of the persons who raised concern about the conduct of the NIB in this particular instance. Why is that?
So that's Franklin?
No, Franklin will join us.
Okay, so I think that...
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Let's deal with this matter distinct off.
Yes.
Because I want us to have a progressive conversation. That's what makes all of this.
So I think we've raised two issues fundamentally here. One had to do with the petition by Adenta Kumi.
Yeah.
And then one had to do with the ongoing matters. So we try to draw the connection, because if you look, some of the reliefs against Justice Asiedu and Kweku Annan in the leadership suit does not relate to the meeting.
Yes.
But in the pleadings, you see some kind of reference to it. I ask you to project Article 127
That'll be on in a bit.
for some obvious reason. In the sense that when a judge is performing his or her function as a judge, he's not liable for any civil or whatever proceedings. And so, to the extent that the only grounds for disqualification of these judges is the fact that, according to her leadership, Justice Kweku Annan has sat on a case involving Daniel Ofori, and for that matter, he's disqualified.
Says a justice of a superior court, respectfully, or any person exercising judicial power shall not be liable to any action or suit for any act or omission by him in the exercise of the judicial power.
Absolutely. So this one, and Justice Kweku Annan does not empanel himself. He's empaneled by the Chief Justice to sit And once he performed that lawful duty of sitting, it matters not who the parties are. 2, is the question of subject matter. The Daniel Ofori EcoBank matter relates more importantly to investment issues. It has nothing to do with this petition. So the nexus is problematic and it's a dangerous terrain. Why? I think her ladyship, the Chief Justice, should be the last person to pontificate this. Why do I say so? If you recall, when the Daniel Ofori matter started at the High Court, one of the matters came before her. She had risen through the ranks and now became a Supreme Court judge. There was a Daniel Ofori matter that came before the court, and she was empaneled. When the lawyers for Daniel Ofori raised the issue that, her ladyship, you decided this matter, so the subject matter is a matter within your purview. Why do you want to sit on it now that you have become a Supreme Court judge? It's inappropriate. She said no, she will sit. So they took an objection. It was a whole colleague Supreme Court judges that said no, you can't sit on this matter, and made an order recusing her before she became Chief Justice. So I think she, with the greatest respect, should be the last person to go on this tangent because of subject matter. 2 different matters. If it was the case that the committee is going to do an investigation into the merits of Daniel Ofori and EcoBank, then my lord may have a challenge going into it. But this has nothing to do with the merit. And in the specific case of His Lordship Justice Asiedu, it's quite curious. Do you know the person who empaneled Justice Asiedu on the Vincent Assefoa and Attorney General decision? Do you know who?
She did it before.
She did it.
The same Chief Justice.
She did it.
But at the time she had not been suspended.
Yes, she did it. Asiedu did not put himself on the committee, the panel, the 5-member panel. You empaneled him. Now, having empaneled him and you have been suspended, you said that should be grounds for his disqualification on a different committee. So it's like you set a trap for him, anticipating that maybe something will happen. I mean, you cannot. That would be self-serving. That would be a very dangerous proposition. If not, judges will now be careful when they are being empaneled. Because then tomorrow, the same person that empaneled you will now use it against you. It offends public policy to go on that line. I don't know why we are proceeding on this tangent. But you see, if you look at Adenta Kumi, that's the challenge I have is that why? There's nothing wrong petitioning the president. But where the petition to the president is founded on hearsay, make up stories. First of all, the video is out there. Me, I call him Prof. Tadio, sorry. You see him with Kote Jani.
The video you talk about, which I say you posted, we're going to put that on the screen. There's CCTV footage from that particular
You see Professor Tadio, sorry, with the businessman Kote Jani.
Who are the 3 working?
So these are Justice Kofi, Justice Kulendi, and Justice Asiedu.
Okay.
But prior to this, you see, you need to follow the sequence. Prior to this, there's a shorter video. 2 individuals were already in the restaurants.
Yeah, that's it. Is that what
you're
talking about?
No, this to the justices.
Okay.
There is a shorter video.
There are 2 people seated with a yellow arrow on them. Well, let's play that. Let's just go back briefly.
No, so you can see exactly. So these 2 people are already in the restaurants.
Okay.
Kote Jani, the businessman, and the lawyer Tadio Sori. Right?
Okay.
Then now the 3 gentlemen now walks in. So clearly, they were there before the 3 gentlemen walked in. Now the 3 gentlemen walk in, 2 passes them. to go and sit down. Then my Lord Kulendi then approaches Thaddeus. After shaking hands with Kotejani, he now comes, hugs Thaddeus sorry.
So it is His Lordship Yoni Kulendi
yes.
and lawyer Thaddeus sorry.
And Kotejani.
Who hugged. Yes. Okay.
Then now he informed that, oh, that's Justice Asiedu and Kofi there.
So that's when...
So he now walks to there, shake hands with them, and then comes back. On what basis do you say that it was a meeting for dinner? Because read the petition. If you read Adenta Kumi's petition, he specifically alleges that they went there for dinner. Is that what happened? So clearly, there is somebody who is not there. I say, okay. Somebody saw the scenario, but didn't know exactly what it is. And basically says this. So let me just go and muddy the waters by adding up. Yeah. Basically making up stories to impugn the integrity of these people. And if you watch the scenario well, you will notice that contrary to the claim of, what's the name, Adenta Kumi, that they were discussing the matter. You were not there. You are like one time petitioner said, you and I were not there.
Well, he actually references that indeed the presence of these persons excited the curiosity of some persons in the restaurant.
But were you there?
So he didn't state in the petition that he was there.
No, but I'm saying that, so some persons, it is not you. Why would you want to take this? I don't know whether he wanted to be the man who met Jesus on the way to Golgotha. What's the name?
That's
he bear the cross at a point.
Simon of Cyrene.
Is that him?
Yeah.
I don't know why Adenta Kumi wants to be there.
Yeah, say he took over when Jesus was Simon of Cyrene.
I don't know why. He wants to be Simon. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
But are you saying that this petition should not gain the attention of the president in any way, shape, or form?
President John Dramani Mahama has a reset agenda. Every Ghanaian should be given the opportunity if they bring a petition. But right from the word go, it is clear that this petition has no foundation. I mean, can you imagine if this guy had brought a picture or video? And first of all, my Lord Justice Puaman is not even there. My Lord Puaman is not in the video. So it's just completely just to destroy people, to muddy this impeachment proceeding. And that is why I say he has taken the burden of Simon, who had to help Christ, our Lord and personal Savior, on the way by taking up the cross. I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, unfortunately, this is a misadventure. Complete misadventure.
I get you.
Yes.
He says, in fact, after you put this out, by the way, one of the first people to put out this CCTV footage. After that, he put it on his X page. I'm talking about Alfred Kumi. That, and we're going to put exactly what he posted on his X page, so as not to be caught in any paraphrasing. He says, "I said it that if I have to run for my life, someone will release the video. There are more videos. Please, any state agency that does not allow the president to respond to the petition, but rather want to pick me up," that was before he was picked up yesterday in the morning, "will cause more harm to our state than picking me. I petition the president, not the NIB or national security. Leave me alone." He says he has more videos. Like, this is actually under 1 minute.
And like I pointed out, this thankfully is the CCTV camera footage from walking right into to when they went in there, sat there, and what have you. You see, maybe you have the benefit. I think he had been charged. I understand the offense of false.
For false publication, yes.
The essential ingredients of this offense. I usually don't subscribe to these offenses for obvious reasons. I'm a person that uses the media so much. So my view is that there are possibility of slip or something, you know, on these issues. But in this matter, because of the sensitive nature of it, nothing precludes him from giving the other recordings that he claimed he has to the investigative bodies. Nothing. What I find a bit strange, again, I come back. Look, there's this decision by the Supreme Court, okay? And in this decision by the Supreme Court, let me reference it. The Republic versus High Courts. Let me see. The Republic versus, it's a very recent decision. The Republic versus...
While you round up for me.
Yes, so I'll just conclude on this. The Republic versus High Court, General Jurisdiction 8, Accra, S-Party Daniel Ofori, Ecobank Ghana, Interested Party. It was delivered 22nd January 2025. Okay?
Okay, fresh.
Very fresh decision. Panel, Lovely Johnson, presiding. Asiedu GSC, Asiedu, Gawu, Asare Darko, and Ajay Frimpong. It was not the majority. The majority included Justice Asiedu, and he ruled against Daniel Ofori.
I see. He ruled against Anno.
He ruled
That's
against
one of the petitioners.
Yes, one of the petitioners. So the petitioners and their lawyers, based on the reasoning by her ladyship in her reliefs, the petitioner should also be asking for Asiedu to recuse himself. I mean, what are we saying? You know. So please. And this panel that had Asiedu in it was put together by her ladyship Justice Gertrude Torkonoo.
I see. So, well, we saw the NIB pick him up yesterday, Lawyer Martin Pebu, and then eventually getting to know. Did you say you are at variance with that charge of publication of false news, but also concern has been raised about how this entire arrest was done. His house being stormed by these NIB operatives, picked him up, and then taken to the office there. To the extent that there has been concern raised about the modus operandi of the NIB in some of these instances. Is it one that, based on what you saw, as was captured on some of the videos that we've been playing, raises concern for you? It's picking up in the morning. And
you see, the video is one that, you know, when I looked at it, what we saw, so what you've just shown, you see the issues I had heard was about the high number of policemen that went there, the NIB. For you, it's not an issue, right?
No. Let's play the video of Alfred coming.
Okay.
Not
so I heard, I don't want to repeat those numbers so that somebody say that's true. I heard a certain huge number. But
I don't know that, and we cannot,
exactly.
We cannot
so
that was, these things.
Yes, people embellish it. You can just see there is active disinformation. People are trying to harm us with false information so that they excite our emotions. Yeah, that was a key. So far, that was the greatest point that was being made, that the number was inordinately high. But when I looked at the video, I didn't see that number. So I was like, oh. Then the people making that charge, why didn't they take the video of the number? You see the number of policemen.
Apparently, the NIB people actually videoed it themselves for the record. Just to show that they are following the
very good. Very good. Yet in the media, the main thing so far, we are coming point by point in terms of the analysis. So far, the biggest point I had heard, the one that got me alarmed, even some lawyers reached out to me, that people, look, there's this huge number. Then I said, but I don't see it in the video. And since then, they've not shown me the video of that high number. So once we're showing that there are issues with the information that has been given, whichever high number you've heard, so far we've not seen a video supporting it, then that one, we'll put it aside until we get further evidence. Okay, because I can't comment on something which should be verifiable, but you've not brought evidence on it. We can't do that. It's not fair to our democracy.
Right.
So if we put that aside, the next point is about the charge. You see, I look at it, and in all fairness, what I'm asking myself is that, you see, if Kumi had left the petition
just as
it is, and not gone on radio, I would have supported him 150%.
Absolutely.
You see what Eduji said? You're basing your petition on hearsay. So once you've not seen it yourself, at least as a citizen, we should commend him a bit that he saw something and he decided to bring it to the attention of the president. Yes, that to that extent he can be commended. In our democracy, look, we will go very far if you see, or if you saw something and you said it. See something, say it, sort it.
National security has a team. See something, say something.
Let's use the short form. Because this, if you see something, say something, it's long. Now, if you go to the UK, they've made a shorter version. They just say, see it, okay, say it, sorted. 3 words. See it, say it, sorted. This, if you see something, is the American edition, this rendition from the 90s. It's been long, so maybe national security should abridge it, make it very short. See it, say it, see it, say it, sorted. It's easier. Now, so for me, the petition by itself is okay. It's a constitutional right that he has. We need vigilant citizens. Notwithstanding that he had embellished it, right? Yes. Because you look, sometimes in an attempt, because there was some, let's say, I'm not the technical meeting, but because at least the video shows that the persons met, but not in the sense of sitting and having a chat and blah, blah, blah. I would have supported the petition because at least it shows something, right? But where he erred, and erred, I mean, egregiously, it's been so terrible, it's for him to have gone on radio. Then he kept, embellishing it. So you see, the moment he did that, then
the publication was no longer the petition.
Yes, that's the thing. Because I was like, why would this gentleman do this? So it became very clear that he was more motivated by his political ends. To be very clear, I heard him on a certain radio station. This one of the mornings. I heard him, not anybody doing hearsay. I heard him. I mean, if you know your information is not that conk, you just say, oh, I won't talk about it. I've just presented a petition. But he was there. And nowadays, somebody says, from one radio station to another, it's like he's the new kid on the block.
Simon
of Cyrene. Simon of Cyrene. Yes. So when you have you're overburdened by your cross, call him in. He will come and take it and then carry it like the way Simon of Cyrene helped Jesus. So for me, that's where he lost me. You should have a certain judgment. You see, things like this, they call for judgment. You've seen a certain physical meeting, though not a technical meeting. You've raised it. It's okay. Why would you go on air? Yes.
I probably think he was carried away by the stations calling him for
carried away. Yes. Let them intervene because it makes the argument better. Because I was struggling with it. I said, no. When your information is not conk, you don't go on radio. At least you took the first step. Let the president go into it, etc. But you don't do this. So if the NIB investigating for publishing false news, that's section 208 of the Criminal Offences Act. Yes, let the law take its course. Because what can I say? This is difficult. You haven't seen an actual meeting. Right? You saw something that's short of a meeting, or you didn't even see, somebody told you. So such a thing, you don't vote. As we sit here, the kind of things people send us every time. But once you see that this thing, it cannot be verified, you are careful. You don't put it out. It's not everything. So there was that lapse in judgment. And I mean, in this case, it's difficult to fault the NIB. Maybe if he comes out to apologize, to beg the NIB, we can join. If he shows some remorse and wants to apologize that this, so he begs, they shouldn't continue investigations, etc. That one, oh, I'm sure having sat here with time, you can predict how I think, because the man is remorseful. He was, I mean, so then we will see that, okay, he was trying to help our constitutional, architecture, the advancement of our democracy. We can take that, right? But in the absence of an apology showing remorse, it's not that part I can't defend.
Well, but he subsequent to this video being released, he has made the point that what this CCTV footage is just under 1 minute, and that he has more videos.
So he should bring
back his point. It's a Twitter.
Yes, he should bring. Don't forget
that Twitter thing on the page right now.
Mr. Okansi, I think he was a parliamentary candidate of the NPP, no, right?
He sought to be.
He sought. Yes. So it's publicly known that he sought to be. So it means that he contested the party primaries.
Yes.
Is that, that's very important. So that's why I say, viewers, in our analyzing it, let's watch the political ends. It's clear that it's more of a political agenda. If you have the video, why would you allow NIB to come and arrest you? I mean, it doesn't look reasonable. Or is it? I don't want to say that is, but who would sit? No, I don't want to,
No, I mean, if these judges want to conspire, for Christ's sake, against a leadership, they chose a market score.
Can you imagine?
They chose a restaurant.
Can you imagine?
To go and have that conspiracy. I mean, even if you have nothing, at least some respect that these people are even intelligent. You understand?
Yes.
That, for Christ's sake, these are quite intelligent people. And that, I mean, to conspire against a Chief Justice, the high office of search, they chose a restaurant to go and have that meeting and conspiracy. I mean, why do you want to be Simon of
Cyrene?
I mean, why?
Christian Mamhesi on this, unless you are done on this.
Yes. So he should look at it. He maybe consider come and apologize, and then we can support him, maybe. But that short of that, as for justifying what he did, I mean, it doesn't help our democracy.
Professor Godfrey Boakye is going to be joining us. I know he has a quick take on this particular one. So yes, Christian Mamhesi, on the sequence of events from the petition to this video, and then the position that the petitioner has taken that he has more information. Yesterday he was picked up by the NIB. The fashion in which he was picked up also raised concern, and then the charge of publication of false news against him. And he still insists that he has more videos. What should be the next step for me?
It's becoming team for joy.
I protest. The linking him to Team for Joy, the lowest. I beg you. I beg you. This one, I take exception to it.
For me, well, I mean, there's nothing wrong in filing the petition. I mean, one's opinion, or if he's witnessed a matter that he wants to draw the president's attention to, which he believes the president would have recourse to decide on, that's fine. And having run commentary, which, I mean, just like my senior also said, I also agree with the fact that the matters put out there, he didn't witness it. We use the word personal knowledge. And when it is not personal knowledge, then you run into, or you risk running into the realm of hearsay. Now, running that in the public, he risked himself putting out unsubstantiated matters, which he had to, if he had stuck to the petition, would have saved matters. Now, he can do himself good by proving that what he put out there was not false information. Save that point has been made. I would also veer to how the security forces charged on him. I believe sometimes they should measure the coercive force or power in running up some of these duties. The coercive powers, you see, there's everything in balance of duty that coercive power should equally meet what the officer there should be a balance. There should be a balance in the exercise of that duty, such that if the coercive power is more than that which is met to it, then it creates an imbalance, and that imbalance would reverberate in the minds of people as a Rambo style situation, which in a democracy doesn't sound too good. That you have a lot of officers with guns, and not even the shotguns, but they are holding rifles. I mean, I'm not a security person to know the make of the rifles and all of that, but I mean, visibly rifles and all of that cladded. I mean, just to arrest a simple young man on such a crime, alleged crime, is too superfluous. So we pray that NIB, you do a good job. You're doing a good job to protect the state and to keep us in check and have security apparatus run. But at times when we go wrong, in the exercise of your constitutional and other legislative duties, we pray that you be moderate in the exercise of your duty, especially when you are using your coercive powers. Let it be balanced, such that it will not create that optic imbalance or that posture that would suggest that there is an uneven relationship in terms of the exercise of that coercive power. And aside that, I believe that once he's arraigned before court, he would have his opportunity to defend whether or not what the prosecution will put before him is sustained. Once he filed the petition, he would have his day to prove whether or not it's false information or not.
Well, as indicated, yes, very briefly.
So, Mr. Mam, you know, because sometimes we also sit here to learn. So, from the number you have mentioned, what number of policemen do you see?
Oh,
I mean, what I am saying is,
but put it on record.
Put differently, is it excessive?
He's already saying it's excessive.
No, I'm saying put differently in terms of numbers. Would you call this excessive?
That's why he said that it's excessive. So let me make the point quickly. My point is that don't forget the man was a party aspirant. No. Sometimes when we do that, let's be careful. He's an aspirant, somebody who sought to become a parliamentary candidate. It goes without saying that he has supporters. There are many. The police will be making a mistake that one or two went there and not armed. No. Security, that is their job. That's why I first said that.
If immediately the General Secretary of the NPP put out on social media that people should run to his house.
You see?
It created a different dynamics that you can no longer allow just two officers. Because at that point, you had basically created a scene where if you are not careful, you are seeking to obstruct the investigation. In that case,
and he has a following.
And he has following.
A parliamentary aspirant.
And he lives within the community. So assuming about the General Secretary having put that thing on Facebook, 1,000 people have rushed there. What do you think would have happened?
But my point, you know, the police, they always have this way of, these days, they have restrained themselves.
Usually, my strategy.
These days, they have restrained themselves. Invitation, that's what I'm saying.
Simple invitation.
And an invitation is construed as an arrest. So these days, they are trying to build security civilian relationship. So they have deferred to an invitation. So they can even place a call to you that we request your presence at the police headquarters. So that, and then you would say, I would want to come with my lawyer, or then you run it by your lawyer. I cannot come the designated day. And I've done it a lot of times with my client and even the officers. Can we come the next week, 20-something? They say, okay, cancel, that will be fine by us. We would be there. So such a situation. And this person is not one who would run out of the country, because, again, you have every means to gag that. Once you run that invitation to him, definitely this man will yield himself. So, and once it is a politically exposed person, you would have people amassing around, like he said, but an invitation would have been a more ideal. I am not saying I am more minded, or I have a security mind superfluous or more enriched than the security persons. But I think that there should be a balance in the use of coercive force, especially the relationship we are seeking to build between security and the civilians.
You're waiting for winning and somewhere about better. Yapono so Mikao says, so when you subscribe to channel area, Bomodia say over subscribe. Now, while I give you give us a thumbs up, now fee share my work for frosona. When you be here now, and some do donara ekoso ewo Ghana memoiram. Also bet me otchere wadwin afaye some way in our home ewo comment box mu. Mobeti minkavio in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.